Going into today's challenge, I was really worried because last night I was on the wrong side of the vote and I was completely blindsided by Haley's, departure. Like, I really liked her. And like the fact that she has a science background, I have a science background, I could relate to that, So I really liked her and I wanted to keep her around because I did ultimately trust her enough, right? And so it was kind of wild because now I can't figure out what alliance I'm really a part of. I thought my 4 was strong, but after tonight's crossroads, I have no idea. Because the way I see it, I know for a fact that I voted for Carl. Olivia voted for Carl. David voted for Carl. Mariana voted for Carl. And then Joshua played his Destiny's token. I'm assuming Carl played his Destiny's token because he also looked upset by the number that was drawn. So I can only assume that Mike voted for Joshua, but that doesn't seem right. I feel like he was on board with Carl. And the only one I can't account for is Danielle. And that concerns me because I thought, us 4 were a strong 4. So why would she vote for Mike? And if she didn't, who voted for Mike? She says she voted for Carl. But I don't know. I know the only person I can trust legitimately in tonight's vote is Joshua, because, he played his Destiny's token. I can trust David because we're on the same page. We're just trying to survive. And I'm tempted to trust Mariana. But it's hard because I know for a fact she has her, she has the compass. So I don't know. I really don't know who to trust. And it concerns me because I thought Mike would have voted Carl. And if he did, then who is the Joshua vote? Does not make sense. Who is playing me? At least my name wasn't thrown out there. It's so freaking confusing. And I don't know what to make of it.
What's up, y'all? And welcome to what I think is going to be the last edition of Carl's Confessionals. Anyway, so challenge today was really cool. We had to do some kind of workout thing, but then we had to solve a puzzle, and Olivia did it super fast in like 30 seconds, and good for her. But what was cool was Ethan and Kelly both showed up, and Kelly competed in the challenge, which was really cool. And while I feel like everybody else was a little starstruck, I kind of gave shit to Kelly and gave whatever to Ethan, a little sass, I guess you could say. I don't know. Really not feeling good about tonight. Not really sure, but hopefully if things go my way, it'll all work out. But if not, long live King Carl.
Hey guys, so tonight kind of went down how I thought it would, but how I thought it wouldn't. A little contradicting there. I definitely wanted to take out a male this round, but Haley ended up going instead of one of the guys. which wasn't bad for my game either. I think Haley is a comp beast. She showed that early on, and she's a very, very, very strong female player. I wouldn't have liked to necessarily see it be going down in this order, or well, I guess I did because I chose to take her out. But I mean, I've developed so many relationships already, and Haley wasn't the strongest one. Although I was working with her, we were in a 5 alliance, me, David, Haley, Mike, and Olivia. But me and Haley just didn't have as much time to talk. And, the vote was being pushed onto her or Joshua. I think I could have chose either way it went. If I would have talked to Mariana and wanted to vote Joshua out, she would have voted with me and Josh would have been the one to go instead of Haley. I didn't want to show my cards in that aspect. And also I have a stronger relationship with Josh than I do Haley at the end of the day. So keeping Josh was definitely better for my game. That being said, before we went to Crossroads, I was in a room with Haley, and I did let her know. I said, Haley, they think you have a compass. I was giving her a fair warning to know she was getting votes. She could have used her Destiny Cube, and if she would have, made herself safe, it would have bounced back, and Josh would have went home and or been deserted. And if Josh would have been deserted, that would have been a bonus for me. He's a massive threat. I would have gained some trust from Haley, would have been seen as a good move. But she didn't make that choice and that didn't happen. So her leaving the game was best for my game at this point because I have definitely gained trust with Josh in this game prior to this already as well. So I'm also working, me and Josh and Carl, me and Josh and Mariana. I have me and Mike and Olivia and Dave and Haley, which David's going to be upset now, but I did use this to my advantage. I did tell David after I said, I warned Haley. I said, I didn't really know what to do. I played it off like, the votes weren't there, even though if me and Mariana would have switched our votes, the votes would have been there. David's acting like he believed it. Who knows if he really did. But I think it doesn't really matter because he's on the bottom. So he's going to stick with me and Mariana because of that. Hopefully moving forward. I mean, me and Mariana and David have actually been working together since day 0. We were in a room, at the beginning of this game. Day 0, me and Mariana and David, our first, when we got separated into our parties, me and David were Team Janet. We talked about working with Mariana going into the rendezvous, saying we wanted to work with her and hope that she would make it there. David didn't know, obviously, that me and Mariana know each other, and I obviously wanted a final 2 with her. Me and Mariana we didn't even get to really talk to lock that in, but it's been my plan since I seen her on the screen and knew she was in the game. So David at this point is good for my game. Now that he is no longer a duo with Haley, I do feel a stronger connection with him, with me and him and Mariana. So hopefully he sticks with us going forward. And I have a lot of options right now, and basically it's just gonna be, things are gonna be moving for me at a pace of who gets exemption, who's being targeted, and what ultimately comes down to being best for my game, and I'm going to have to maneuver that as much as possible without revealing too many cards if possible. It's quite interesting to say the least, and I guess we'll see what happens next. Ciao, guys.
Best I felt after a day of Expedition Online in some time. And I thought today was a must-win for me. That's the craziest thing. I thought today was a must-win. I knew I was on the bottom along with Bambi, and I definitely have a larger target than Bambi does at this time. So I knew I could easily just be an easy vote of that guy, him, bye. And, that's a lame way to go out, and I was really nervous for today. When we got the challenge details for exemption, I felt great because I am really good at word scrambles. I do them on my phone, and I do enjoy word scrambles, and I'm pretty good at them. So I thought this was a challenge I could win, and that's what I need to do, is just keep winning challenges. It's a hard way to go through the game, but that's kind of where I felt I was at. And not only did I not win, but like I magnificently lost. I was probably in second or third place, but Olivia is ridiculous at word scrambles. I mean, it was like, what, 45 seconds into the challenge she had solved this thing. Like, I don't think I could have written the sentence that fast. Like, I'm really not sure if I could have. I got like about halfway through it. I mean, I have it right here. We began with 18 explorers trekking from sea to... That's where I stopped. So I think that's about halfway. And I was like, I am crushing this. I'm going to be able to solve this after the first set of exercises. I think this is mine. Like, I'm going to crush this. I'm going to raise my threat level, but so what? I'll be safe. And then Olivia just obliterated it, and like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And not only that, but we played a second one just because Ethan and Kelly popped in for this epic challenge, and it was less than a minute. And so we played a bonus one, and Mike got that super quick as well. I got stuck on the very first word for some reason. Like Kelly, I was thinking of Kelly without the second E, and yeah. But then I figured out Wentworth, and I was like, oh, that's Kelly. But Mike got it. So I didn't win either challenge, which means, again, I don't raise my threat level, which, is for the best as long as I can stay in the game. And my name was brought up early, and I even went to the council of Carl and Josh as their arms were crossed. And, Josh is even like, your name is out there, but, tell me why I should keep you. Like, tell me why I should really consider, letting you be part of my game. So I groveled, and I threw out some things, but I was like, but you tell me what, and Carl's just over like, no, I like your plan. Mariana, let's do Mariana. And I was like, I know that's not actually what Carl thinks, because Carl's actually going to want to talk to Josh before agreeing to that. But, fortunately, Carl's not a very good liar. And so, I knew at that point that they were probably still targeting me, but I started talking to other people, and people are starting to get on the Carl train of like, Carl has lied to a lot of them, and people were starting to really worry that Josh and Carl had too much power, but Josh definitely seemed to have more allies that were willing to protect him. So it came to Carl. And so I became reasonably confident that we had 5, possibly even 6 people on Carl. And so my vote didn't matter, because if I played my Destiny token, there would only be 3 other votes. So I thought, because I was so blindsided by the Haley vote, because I really thought we were going to get Josh last time, that this was kind of the time where my vote doesn't matter. Because if people are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, Carl's going home. But I still am carrying a bit of this paranoia from getting blindsided by the Haley vote. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to play my Destiny's token and see what happens. Because I thought, even if I wasn't the primary vote, I was going to be the secondary vote. And I know Josh has half of a compass. He might have more. I don't know where the other compass is. So I was also afraid of advantages that could make me the other vote. So I was like, my vote doesn't matter in this one, as long as everyone else does vote and not play their Destiny token, or doesn't have an advantage of extra vote or something. So since my vote didn't matter, I thought this was the time to play my Destiny token, since I was worried about where the votes would go potentially. And the best thing happened is that I didn't need to play it, and that everyone was telling me the truth, and that Carl went home in a landslide. And even better, everyone is sure everyone's positive that Carl played his Destiny token. And Josh came right out and said that he played his, because there was another Destiny token played, so there was only 6 votes out of 8 people, and 4 of them went to Carl. So Josh is sure it's him, and there was 1 vote on Mike and 1 vote on Josh. And I know the vote for Mike came from Carl, but everyone else thinks that vote doesn't make any sense because they're sure that Carl played his Destiny token. So in a way, I have a little advantage of information there because I know something that no one else knows, and I don't think anyone else suspects, because right when I saw this is where this was heading, I wrote this on a piece of paper to gain trust. And I didn't vote for Carl, but they don't need to know that. Like, that's a secret I can take to the end of the game, and it stirs the pot. It makes people not trust other people, and I think people believe me. Except for Josh. I think Josh probably thinks I was the one Josh vote. And, who cares what Josh said? Like, Josh and I are beyond the point where we can play together. We've been on opposite sides for too long, I think, for us to form a late game bond. But that's what we have. So today was the best day in a long time. I feel like I'm in some really powerful trios. Me, Bambi, and Mike have a trio, and I feel really good about them. Me, Mariana, and Danielle have a trio. I feel really good about me and Danielle. Mariana and Olivia are playing all sides. And yeah, they're definitely the people, along with Josh, that I don't trust in this game. But the fact that I have now a majority of people that I actually do trust, being me, Mike, Bambi, Danielle. Boom. That 4 right there, I feel pretty good about. And, they could backstab me at any time. I'm aware of that. But for once, I kind of feel like I have people protecting me because they think I'm protecting them. And they're right on that. Like, I do want to protect those other 3 people. So I like my place in the game, but it can change any time. And especially with all of the advantages that are out there, it can change at any time. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow and to see if there has been a massive shift for my game in today where I'm no longer on the bottom. So bring on tomorrow. Bring it on.
Sorry for the abnormal get out. We're definitely not staging any of this. We're all sitting out in the wild right now. This is just a Zoom background that nobody can see, obviously. Yeah, it's a Zoom background for sure. We had the exemption challenge, and it was quite interesting. It was something that I really thought I was going to be good at, and it didn't turn out so. We've got to do some physical competitions while also trying to solve a word phrase. And I thought I was going to do very well at this because I thought I had the physical stuff nailed, and I just had to take some time to do the word phrase. But Olivia got it in less than 2 minutes. She didn't even do her physical tasks, and so there was no challenge. There was just no challenge. She sends herself to the serrated edge, which always a good thing. Somebody sends theirself. Saves blood on their hands, and it's a smart thing for her, but I kind of wanted to go, but I was definitely not going to voice my opinion wanting to go, because obviously I want a full compass, but whatever. So that happened, and we get back to camp, and it's just a lot. There's quite a bit going on, and throughout the time that we had a good amount of time. The shift of the target from David and Bambi went to Mike a little bit. We kind of discussed doing Mike, and then that didn't happen, and then all of a sudden it's between me and Carl, and I just know it was David and Bambi switching things up. And somebody like a Danielle, somebody like a Mariana, and Olivia, they took the absolute advantage of that. Once people start spreading a little bit of paranoia, it travels a lot. So I'm starting to worry a lot now because I have to fight for myself. I can't fight for both Carl and I at this point. I'm surprised we've made it this far, being as close and openly close pretty much as I think we have been. But I have a feeling it's going to be the end of the two of us. And I'm really hoping it's not me. And I really feel bad for Carl. I'm not going to vote for Carl. I'm going to find a way around it. If I have to play my token, so be it. But I'm not voting for Carl. This is a fun game. Very fun, very different, very interesting. But I guess we'll see what happens. We don't have a lot of time. I don't think we have enough time to get all of this sorted out. I don't even know who's voting what. This is the first time I don't know what's happening for real. And that's scary. If you don't know what's happening, it happens to be you, usually. So I'm hoping that they value me more as somebody who's going to bode better for them in their game, which is absolutely untrue. I'm here to win. Carl would be the absolute best person to take farther out of the two of us because I will screw them over if I have to. But Carl's a loyal motherfucker. If you can hurt him, he's a loyal motherfucker. So I'm excited. But I'm hoping that something goes better. I'm hoping Carl and I have the same idea. We play our Destiny tokens and pray for the best and hope that we don't have to vote one of the two of us out, but I guess we'll see. We had Crossroads the other night, and Carl went home. I love Carl. I think he's a great stand-up guy, and I absolutely would have taken him to the end and been at the end with him because I feel like if I want to lose to anybody, it would be to Carl. So I would have not minded losing to that man. Didn't end up happening that way, though. I got a little bit of tip-off before Crossroads happened that, listen, it's going to be you or John, or it's going to be you or Carl. I wasn't going to vote for Carl. So I decided to play my Destiny token, not so much to try to keep me safe, but more so I don't have to make the decision and piss somebody off, because I'm not voting for Carl, and if Carl's going home, I'm not having my vote land on somebody that's still in the game if I'm still there. That's just bad news. And I don't want to be in bad news, Brian. I'm here to win for my charity. And that's what it's all about at this point. I'm happy though, because now I feel like I have somebody who is a locked vote for me and definitely won't vote for Mike. Mike is somebody that for sure won't be getting Carl's vote. So if I'm sitting next to Mike, I'm looking pretty good. I've got probably a 1 and 2 shot of getting Carl's vote, or maybe a 1 and 1 shot, depending if it's a final 2 or a final 3. I'm excited for what could happen. I think there's some really good stuff that could come of this. Of course, Carl and I were pinned as a duo, and now that everything's kind of under the bridge, Carl's out, I don't really have that duo anymore. I'm on the bottom. It's giving me a lot more opportunities than I actually had before, which is better than I could have asked for. And it kind of plays into that you have to give some to take some. I gave up Carl, but I'm giving myself a better position, I feel personally, in this game, because now I don't have to play both Carl and I's game. And that's a little bit nice. It's good to know that I can play my own game and not have to worry about what Carl is saying and be dragged along with that just because Carl is saying it. I'm here to play my game, and I can do that now. And I'm excited. I think depending on how this exemption goes, it could turn out very well, but I have to just play my cards right and hope that I can trust somebody, because I'll be honest, nobody voted with me. Nobody would have voted with me at this last one. Not a single person. So, and just about everybody ended up either lying to me or telling me the truth. And I value the people who told me the truth without me having to finagle it out of them a little bit. There are people like Danielle who didn't admit it immediately, and then you have Olivia and Mariana who do admit it immediately. to me that my name's on the chopping block or Carl's name is on the chopping block, and it's gonna have to be the one of us. Danielle, I kind of had to get that from. She didn't willingly give it up without me saying, well, this is what I'm hearing. She's, oh yeah, I was just about to tell you that. Really now? Really? Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
I have to try to do better, be nice, and I don't know, like, because people aggravate me, and my ex-stepdaughter would say, Katie's like a jellyfish swimming around the water. She doesn't bother anyone, but if you poke at her, she'll sting you. And I'm like, I got all these stingers. But most of the time, I don't say anything with hate. I'm just, like, being dramatic, but I'm still thinking it because I'm saying it. And as you might guess, it's like I'm on sodium pentothal all the time because I just say whatever. And sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's like, oh boy. Yeah, so anyway, Carl's in the jury now. I'm sorry he's there, but I'm like glad to see him because he makes everything better. He's enjoyable. He's funny. He's entertaining. The girls are great. Haley, I never know what she's thinking.
Hello everyone, this is Miriana with my day 11 update. Guys, I truly didn't think I was gonna get this far. Made it to final 8 and ultimately final 7. Like, I feel so happy right now. But yeah, let's just kind of talk about what went down today. I have a lot of thoughts for you guys today. Alright, so unfortunately that challenge didn't last long. I was like low-key excited to start doing squats and mountain climbers. Like, I don't think I would have done that at all. And then I was like a few words shy of completing it, but Olivia literally killed it. Like, she was super good at that challenge. So I gotta watch out for her. Like, I like Olivia. Like, she's good to keep in the game, but like, yeah, she's really smart. And then we did a re-round or retry, and I think Mike got it. Yep. So good challenge. I was so excited to see Kelly. Like, seeing her just made me more reassured and reminded me what we're playing for. Like, as you guys know, mine and Bambi's shot of going to like final 2 right now, it's like pretty slim. I mean, we're looking at 2 to 7 right now, so like 20%. Not even, like, yeah, so we'll see if we can make it there. But yeah, it was nice to see Kelly and Ethan. Like, I loved watching him play Survivor, so definitely I was fangirling when I saw Ethan. But yeah, so yeah, Olivia was safe, and then Crossroads was something else. So I started my Crossroads adventure with Josh and Carl, and in that room we were in there for like a pretty good time, only because people weren't really jumping around. Oh, and Danielle was in there at first. So people started to speculate that me, Josh, and Carl were working together, which, I mean, at the time of, as of like minute 5, yeah, we were. Like, the plan was to get rid of Mike, right? But then as I started jumping around other rooms, people started, I started hearing like, oh, Carl and Josh, and then, Mike told me like, oh yeah, I saw you, Josh, and Carl in the room together for such a long time. I'm like, well, you, Olivia, and Bambi were in the same room too. Like, don't at me when you guys are doing the same thing. Like, I understand, yeah, we stayed longer. I should have jumped out. Like, I was trying to. So I'm like, you know what? At this point, I feel like me being associated with Josh and Carl is bad for my game. So I heard them out, and I wanted to see what way they're going. And they asked Carl or Josh. I said I would rather take out Carl. I like Josh. So, and then me being a dumb person, I freaking told Carl that he's the target. Like, I should have just never said anything and let him be paranoid and think that Mike is the majority vote. But me being dumb, I told Carl, and then of course Carl told Mike and Josh in the room. But obviously Josh and Carl are going to be trying to convince Mike to use his half compass, and as you guys will see, Mike saved it for himself, which is smart. yeah. So a lot has happened, and then I was pretending with when Carl joined me and David, like Carl's like, oh, let's vote Mike, and I'm like, yeah, let's go vote Mike out. Yeah, no. So honestly, I am. Oh, and also then I also heard that Carl and Josh have been speculating that I have a compass, but I wonder if that was Mike trying to plant something in my mind to go against them. I don't know. But then I heard that people think that I have a compass. So guys, I might have to use it soon, to be honest. My goal is to not have to use it till final 5. But if not, I might have to use it next round or final 6. Hopefully not, because my goal is to either win immunity or be on the numbers with or my goal is to receive exemption, win the challenge, or feel good with the numbers to keep me safe should, the vote is me. But I'm kind of nervous that the next few votes are going to be pretty split. And I also feel like everyone's going to be using their final compasses and final advantages, whether it's a half compass, as I said, or their tokens. So pretty much I think everyone has a token besides Josh. So I have to walk further away from camp, but let's talk about the vote really quick. So someone voted for Mike, and it's funny, I was expecting Carl to call me out or something, but only one person voted for Mike, and him and Josh lost their vote. So I think Carl thinks I've actually voted for Mike. So, and then it was funny, at the camp, we all showed our votes, but Danielle didn't want to admit that she probably voted for Mike. So that was funny. I'm like, yeah guys, I voted for Carl. So I think this next round will be interesting because Josh and Mike will find who voted for them, and then they'll probably target them. But they'll be like, oh, Mariana voted for Carl. She wasn't targeting us. Why should we say her names? But you know what? I'm going to go back inside. Or you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go back inside and I'm going to draw a diagram of what the probability of how the next few rounds may go. Pending who wins the challenge, who has exemption, who has the compasses. Let's go break it down really quick. Alright guys, so I'm back inside. I'm back to the famous board because there's just so much going on that we just need to break it down. And I apologize if you can't really see it, but yeah, I'll show it to you. Okay, so let's break down what's going on right now, right? So this is after Carl has been casted away. So we're on the presumption, or not presumption because it's actually factual at this point. There's Olivia, Mike, Bambi, David, Danielle, myself, and Josh left. And the reason why I kind of numbered it or listed it this way, I want to show you guys what I see as the pairs in this game currently. So obviously, well, for me it's obvious that Olivia and Mike are a pair, David and Danielle, me and Danielle, kind of me and Josh, and I guess me and Bambi. Not really officially because, we're just Team Kelly, so we're just gonna be the presumed pair. But the thing is, there's 2 people I believe are truly in the middle where they can go either way right now, and that's Josh and Bambi. Next round, I feel like Josh and Bambi will have a lot of power to determine who will go home tomorrow at final, or to make it into final 6. And then I also kind of labeled who has what. So everyone, I forgot to get myself a half compass. Everyone has, not a half compass. I don't have a half compass. I have a token. Let's clarify that. So everyone has a token besides Josh, and then Mike and Josh have a half compass. Also, Olivia may have a half compass from Serrated Peak, so I added her name to have a half compass also, potentially, which is not going to be good if they combine it, so hopefully she didn't get it. And then I have a compass, but there's one more other compass out there, and I am believing it to be Danielle because only Danielle knows how these games work and where to find compasses initially, and that's through those Discord channels. So I'm sure she's doing the same thing, where she's not telling me she has the compass and I'm doing the same thing, because we're both scared, even though we think we trust each other, which I still do. I think we're still being, you know, kind of careful with each other, right? So that's where everyone stands. And then I kind of wrote some goals of what should happen. So obviously everyone is either going to use their token either in the final 7 or final 6, because these tokens could be last used before final 6. Or at final 6, I guess, to make it into final 5. So I guess what could potentially happen is half of the people will use it tomorrow, or most people will use it on final 6. And the goal, or I think the best optimal thing for final 6, is to keep Josh around and have him survive final 7, and him being the only person that cannot use a token to save himself. Or everyone could come to a conclusion together, find a majority, and get rid of them, right? That would be, you know, the obvious thing to do, but it's not going to happen because we know there's different groupings. I really hope me, David, and me, David, and Danielle could work together, and that I can pull in Josh. Or I'm scared that Olivia, Mike, and Bambi will pull in Josh. Or me, Danielle, Olivia, and David could figure something out and get rid of, like, I don't know, like Mike or something. But yeah, so the goal is to, for me at least, I want to make sure I work on my connections next round with Josh and Bambi. Bambi, she's Kelly with me, and then Josh, I pretty much just saved him, right? So I'm going to hope that my relationships with them will be good. However, Josh is suspecting me of a compass, but also I feel like Bambi is also. So I'm kind of nervous that people are going to try to get me out next round. But I'm going to play my compass, and it'll be good. You know, I'll at least make it to final 6, and then I can use my compass, and not my compass, my token, and hopefully that'll save me. Or I can hope that I win an individual exemption and keep myself safe. And then, so final 6, I want Josh or Mike on, but I feel like they're going to use their compasses, or half compasses, either this round up until final 5. I feel like, I think it's going to happen in final 5. Should they stay together, then they're going to use that final 5, but if they both go home before that, then, you know, we won't have to worry about anything, right? And then I kind of just wrote down a different scenario of who wins, you know, exemption at the next challenge, who we believe are the names that may be thrown. I'm not going to read them for you, but I feel like right now the best person to win the next challenge would probably be me, Olivia, and potentially Mike. I don't know. I feel like my name won't be said if those 2 people win. So final 5 and final 4, it's TBD for now. I'm just trying to make it to final 6 with my compass potentially. I feel like I'm gonna have to use, you know, the token and the compass by the final 5. So I should be okay as long as next round goes well and I get the individual exemption. So that's what's going on with the game, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so episode 11. I am so proud of my game. Just so excited that I chose to play this game and I was selected. I am just having such a blast. I'm doing much better than I thought I was going to do. It just, you know, to get to the final 8 and to be here and to be, you know, pridefully playing for, you know, my charity and doing as well as I'm doing has just been an honor. That being said, the first thing that we have to do is the challenge. It is called, challenge is called Climbing Whitecap Mountain. We have to solve a word scramble puzzle, while doing squats and mountain climbers with a 5-pound bag of ice. So
The challenge starts. I'm super confident. I've gotten 4 words down. We go to do the squats, and Olivia has already finished the puzzle. So Olivia ends up winning exemption super quickly, like just like that, done. She wins. She wins $100 for her charity, and she wins exemption. So, I'm super proud of her. Like, great job for her. I don't think she needed it this round, but I think the extra $100 for her charity, I think, is really awesome. Like, I'm really proud of her and that she was able to do that. But then there's a tiebreaker round, and they decide that they're going to put on a tiebreaker round, and that the person who, like, Olivia can't play, and the person who completes the second puzzle will get Ethan. Oh, Ethan shows up, by the way. Ethan shows up, and Kelly. We have to compete against Kelly in order to win the money and win exemption. So we have to beat Kelly first and foremost. So Olivia does that. Olivia beats Kelly. And then Ethan says, well, I'm going to donate my $100 to the person who wins the tiebreaker. So I'm like, that's great, because Olivia already got $100. So he's going to match $100 to the next person who wins the tiebreaker. I won the tiebreaker. I get $100 from my charity, Gliss of Western New York. I'm so excited. I'm so proud. I'm so happy that even if I don't win the game, I still have earned $100 for my charity. And I'm so excited, and I'm so thankful to Ethan for doing that. I've always been a huge fan of Ethan, so this just kind of solidifies my pure and undying love for Ethan. So I'm so glad, and I'm so proud to have been able to earn that money for my charity. So that being said, we go back to camp, and nobody really wants to, like, shuffle out. So I'm just like, all right, come on guys, we got to do something. So I initially end up in a group. I end up talking with Olivia, or I'm sorry, not Olivia. Oh, Olivia goes to Serrated Peak. So Olivia sends herself to Serrated Peak. I'm really hoping that she comes back with a half compass, because if she comes back with a half compass, then I don't have to worry about the half compass with Josh and Carl. I can, tag myself out with Olivia and combine it with Olivia and help her, me, and Bambi. So that's initially what I want to do. So I'm hoping that she comes back with something. I talk to Bambi. I tell her I'm cool with her. I talk to David. I tell him I'm cool with him. Like, let's work this out. Like, let's the 3 of us need to stick together. We need to make something happen here. So we decide that we're going to put the vote on Mariana or Carl. Those are the 2 options out in the ether. As I'm talking to David and Bambi, I end up talking a little bit with Mariana and Danielle as well. And we end up just kind of rotating through the 5 of us, because Mariana, Carl, and Josh are all in, or I'm sorry, the 4 of us, Danielle, myself, David, and Bambi, we all rotate around because Josh, Mariana, and Carl are literally locked in a room for like at least 20 minutes. I mean, Olivia came back before they had even broken up. So I got to talk to Olivia. Olivia came back with nothing, so she says. I believe her. I'm pretty sure she would tell me if she had something, especially, afterwards, because we got to talk later too. But she doesn't have anything. She says she doesn't have anything. I'm believing her at this point. I really think that if Bambi, her, and I can really hold tight and hold ourselves together, the 3 of us can make it far into this game. Like, that's the goal. Like, that's what I want to have happen. People are starting to clock it a little bit, so I'm a little nervous about that. I'm a little worried about people kind of seeing that me, Bambi, and Olivia are a pair, a group. So I don't want that to be any more obvious than it might already be. But I'm working with David as well, and I'm working with Josh and Carl. And Danielle says that, I'm her 2. I'm her number 1. And so I'm Mariana. It comes down to Mariana again for me, and it's very frustrating because people keep telling me, don't say her name because you're going to end up a target. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do at this point. So I'm going to I'm going to talk with Josh and Carl as soon as I can. Well, they don't break up. The two of them don't break up. David jumps in with them. I talk to Mariana. Mariana seems really cool. And I tell her, I'm like, I'm not going to vote for you this round. Like, I'm not voting for you this round. I was kind of hoping that she would think something was up with that and play her compass. She did not, but that's okay. I am just worried about the Carl-Josh duo. Like, the two of them are super, super tight. And I like to believe that Carl is tight with me too, but I'm just worried about what perception that group of three will have when we go to the final 7. I don't want us to be the 3 in the big target. As I talk to people, it sounds like Bambi, David, and Mariana are the 3 names. Out of nowhere, out of absolutely nowhere, Danielle runs into a room with me, Carl, and Josh. I don't know how she did that, because it wasn't a room of 4. Who did she do that with? Oh, Carl went in with Mariana, and Mariana came back and said, like, I'm hearing your name. Mariana told Carl that she's hearing his name. I don't know why she would tell him that. He comes storming back in, like, freaking out. So he's like, I'm going to go talk to other people. I was like, okay, you do that. Danielle comes in and literally confirms it for Josh that she's hearing Carl and Josh. And I'm like, okay. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're literally calling out both our games at this point in front of Josh. So I'm like, well, what do we do? Like, I've been with Josh and Carl this whole time, so, like, clearly I'm out of the loop. Like, how do we flip this? And Danielle's like, well, I don't know. We vote for David. And I don't see her voting for David. So I'm like, this isn't going to happen. So I stick my vote on Carl. I voted for Carl because I felt like if I didn't, it would be me. I just had this gut feeling that something was up, that I was potentially, an option out there that I didn't know about. I just felt it. So I voted for Carl. I put my vote on Carl. I figured if Josh and I both survive, like, he'll understand. He'll get it. Like, it's game. Like, what else was I supposed to do? So the votes come out. Carl and Josh both use their destiny token, so they end up not safe. Their token doesn't work. Basically call me out, like, not directly, but are just basically like, hey, like, if you have a half compass, like, I'll take it. So clearly they were trying to get me to give Josh a half compass, but I knew that if I give Josh the half. Okay, so part 2. So they're trying to get me to give them my half compass. So they're kind of calling it out. Like, anybody want it? Anybody want to give me a half compass? I can't do that because I don't know who they're going to save. Because either way, if he plays it on Carl and Carl's safe, who goes home? Like, I don't want to go home. I don't want Josh to go home, and I don't want Josh to, like, it to be like this big thing where, I did end up giving him this half idol. He plays it on Carl, and then Josh goes home. Like, I needed to think this through, and I just kind of sat there, and I didn't want to play it. So they end up both playing the token anyway. So they both lose their vote. They have no agency in the vote at all, and they end up not winning safety. So it ends up kind of backfiring on them completely. Carl ends up getting 4 votes. Josh gets 1 vote. And I get a vote. So had I given them the half compass and played it correctly on Carl, it's a tie between Josh and I. Technically, I would hope that Josh would be the one that goes home. But I got a vote. Somebody voted for me. So I have to figure that out. I have to figure out who voted for me. But the vote goes through, Carl goes home, and then unmutes and completely calls me out. The hilarity of that is that I already told David, Olivia, and Bambi that I have a half compass. Josh already knew I had a half compass. So the only 2 that really didn't know were Mariana and Danielle. I don't understand why Carl would out that. Because, like, in the grand scheme of things, everybody voted against Carl except for one, and Josh, except for one person, who I think was Danielle. We'll come back to that. So Carl can be mad at me all he wants, but at the end of the day, he was telling people all sorts of stories, all sorts of things that he knew that they wanted to hear. So I just assumed he was doing the same thing with me. So he can be mad all he wants, but I didn't know where his allegiance truly was. I think that Josh needs me, and I need Josh. So I purposely made sure that Josh wasn't the vote for this round. That if one of the two of them had to go, it had to be Carl. So I finally gained some agency in this game. It was unfortunate that it had to be somebody that I truly did like Carl. Carl and I got along very, very well. The dilemma is that Carl now hates my guts. So that's frustrating. And I hope that he takes some time to maybe get over the fact that, it was just a game move. And that I think it puts me in a very good position. So I hope he'll get over that. Speaking of my good position, I think I pull in Josh, who seems okay with me. Like, he seems like that was a game move. Like, he understood it. And I explained to him, I was like, listen, I didn't necessarily know that my name was out there, but I had an inkling that something was going to happen that was weird. I really didn't know which one of the two of you was going to go, so I didn't want us to misplay this compass. And that's all true, and I hope he believes that's genuine. So I'm thinking I can pull in Josh, and then I basically said to him, I was like, listen, David and Bambi are all, we're all lone wolves at this point. You've lost Carl. I don't know where I fit in with anybody, and David lost Haley, and Bambi's been playing on her own regardless. So if the four of us can pull together and make something happen, I would be down. So Josh seems willing to play the game, but my concern is that he's kind of in the middle now, which was the position that I was in, and so now I think he thinks that he can kind of play both sides, where he might now go to Danielle and Mariana and be like, I'm with you guys. So I'm a little nervous about how that all plays out, but somebody voted for Josh. So I hope that he understands that, somebody's also coming after him. So, and I know David and Bambi voted for him in the last round, so I think it's going to be a little hard to pull him over to that side, but ultimately I think Danielle voted for me, and I think Danielle's the one that I have to take out. She keeps saying that I'm her number one, but I am almost 95% sure that she threw that vote on me, because both Olivia and Mariana threw her completely under the bus. So I have a feeling Danielle's playing I've already said it, Danielle's playing a great game. So I think Danielle's my person to take out if I can. I don't know if I have the agency to do that though. But I don't know. Mariana and Olivia both kind of were like, yeah, we think it was Danielle that voted for you. And I'm like, cool, thanks. So we'll see. I know Bambi and David are probably in my corner. I'm really hoping Josh stays with me. I'm hoping that we can do some sort of compass play together so that he knows that I trust him. But ultimately, if the five people that I want in the end now are David, Bambi, Olivia, myself, and Josh. So if I can get the five of us to the five, I would be happy, which means I have to somehow figure out how to get rid of Danielle. Between the two of them, Danielle and Mariana, one of them has a compass. So they're going to play it, I think, in this next round, and they're going to play it probably correctly. So I have to figure out what my plan B is for that. And if I can have a really solid plan B, then I think I'm good. Meaning, I'm hoping that it's not Josh. Josh cannot be the plan B, but it can't be Bambi, it can't be Olivia, and it can't be David. So I have to figure out how I'm going to play that out. But ultimately, I think Danielle and Mariana are on my chopping block. But Mariana, I'm building a rapport with her, and if Danielle really is the one that voted for me, I'm not opposed to throwing some sparks out there. So we'll see what happens. I've been wanting to play a more villainous game, and I think that voting out Carl has kind of shown that I'm a little bit more of a game player than people think I am. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I can keep David and Bambi on my side and pull in Josh. That's the plan.
Tonight was bittersweet. I was so happy about the exemption challenge. I almost asked before the challenge even started, I was like, what happens if you finish your word scramble before the squats even start? Because I knew that was going to happen. Like, I'm very good at word puzzles. They're like my only talent. But I didn't want to sound too cocky, and then it would be more embarrassing for me if I lost after that, so I just didn't say anything. But yeah, I'm really glad I was able to win, but it really sucked getting Carl out, and I've tried to keep him safe. I've tried so hard. Like, every single round, I've been like, Carl's a shield, we need him, like, he's a chaotic player, like we can get him out whenever. He tells everyone everything. Like, what's the reason of getting out someone who's honest? And I've been trying to, like, sort of push the focus onto Josh, but I think my luck ran out and I couldn't save him anymore. And today everyone was pretty dead set on getting Carl out. And it sucks because I did want to go to the end with him, and I feel terrible that I was part of the reason that he went because I had to vote for him. But I just couldn't go against what everyone wanted. I know I was already making myself look sus by continuing to fight for him every single round because his name did come up every single round. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I can't do it anymore. And at the Serrated Peak tonight, I got to talk to Janet, and she gave me good advice, which is you don't need to pick your alliances. You can let your alliances pick you. Because I have been sort of stressing out with a bunch of different final three options, thinking about which direction to go in, and now it looks like the Carl, Josh, Olivia final three is no more. And I don't know what to do about Mariana and Danielle because Mariana's been acting a little sussy recently, and first with the compass, and then I don't know, she showed a couple times that she voted for Carl, like she showed her paper written down in her book, but I don't know, there's just like a vibe that's off about her. Like, I think that she was the one that voted for Mike. It just seemed like she and Josh and Carl were in a room together for a really long time, and it was hard for anyone to sort of break up the three of them during strategy time. And I don't know, it just makes the most sense that she was the one that voted for Mike. And then I don't know about who voted for Josh. It almost seems like that one had to have been Danielle because she might have been like out of the loop on which of the two guys we were voting. And then she was the only one that didn't have a piece of paper that said Carl on it. But I mean, people are smart. They could also just make a second piece of paper and show it to try to prove to people that they voted a certain way. But yeah, it's looking more and more like Mike and Bambi are the people I want to take to the end, and they do seem set on working with me. Mike especially, I want to have at the end because I know that Carl doesn't like him and isn't going to vote for him, and Katie doesn't like him and isn't going to vote for him. So even if we both are playing sneaky games and like playing all angles, he definitely is getting a lot of the blame for it over me, which is good because then I can take him to the end and win because people are pissed at him more than they're pissed at me. But there is still a long way to go before we get to that point, and I have to focus on the next couple rounds and what I'm going to do. I'm so disappointed that I didn't get the half compass tonight. Like, I was thinking, like, okay, like, the voice in your head is telling you to choose the gray urn, which means, like, you have the worst luck, so you better choose the white urn because the voice in your head is wrong. And then I chose the gray urn anyway, and yeah, and I fucked up. Because now I don't have a half compass. And I don't know what's going to happen next round, but every day is so different, honestly. Like, I couldn't have predicted yesterday that Carl was going today with how things were going yesterday. So tomorrow's probably going to be really different. I just hope that I can keep my name off the chopping block because it feels like people haven't said it at all, and like sooner or later people are going to start saying it. So nervous for tomorrow. We'll see what happens.